No, of course not. And the whole position of the Ukrainian leadership has been in huge contrast to the constant warnings of imminent invasion from Western capitals. They've been all along. They've been playing it down, saying that nothing's going to happen. There's no need to panic, and so forth. And that step is just not going to do anything to stop the invasion. And I think that's really puzzling in a sense that. Since Monday, when Putin made his speech, it became very clear that he's serious about it, and there is ideological foundation for much larger conflict in Ukraine than just in Eastern Donbass. The Ukrainian leadership just been, looking from outside, they've just been burying their heads in the sand and just not taking it seriously. I think. They should.
Yeah, that's a really good point you make, and indeed, Zelensky has said, well, we don't need to go to a full-scale military response. What do you think they should be doing right now?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the issue of military escalation, of course, any mobilization and so forth could itself be used as excuse for Putin to intervene. Zelensky made many very unfortunate remarks in the Munich conference earlier this week. He said that Ukraine might seek to revive its nuclear weapons. That's been seized. I mean, it's not going to happen. It was just a kind of offhand remark, but that's been seized by the Russians, saying that, like, Ukraine is going to revive it. It's a security issue for us, and so forth. So, I think he should take seriously the threat of the invasion. And actually, if they take it seriously, they might still be able to engage with Russian demands more earnest, including issue of Ukraine's neutrality. It's extremely a hard political topic. It would be almost suicidal topic to start breaching it. But if you think you're about to be invaded and starting discussions about it might prevent it, I think it shouldn't be put off the table. But they have been really just behaving as those warnings are just hot air.
Yeah, that is a point that I've asked other analysts, Alexander, and it seems the fact that Ukraine has enshrined NATO membership within the constitution has sort of created a real problem to put that on the table, to put some of these security issues, even if they had to put them off until things could be settled and Russia could be appeased in some way.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with NATO membership, it's almost like a non-issue at the moment. I mean, it's a political issue. It's not something that is being discussed in practice. I mean, German Chancellor saying, like, I don't know why it's on agenda because nobody's been discussing it. The Russians are very concerned, and I would say even paranoid about Ukrainian membership. Ukraine for political reasons, also kind of making these declarations. But there is no serious prospect of Ukrainian membership of NATO, because just look at what the reaction of United States and Britain were to the threat of Russian invasion. Immediate evacuation, not just of diplomatic corps from Ukraine, but also of military advisors. There's a few hundred military advisors. So, I mean, there's a very clear that absolutely no circumstances they are considering Ukraine important enough to fight over. Yes, there will be sanctions, but NATO membership entails actual fighting. So I think there is a issue of compromise, and I'm just despair that people don't want to actually start engaging with it. Yes, I mean, Putin is aggressor, they're putting tension and so forth. But the core issue here, if it is about NATO, is actually not something hard to compromise on. I think they should engage with it much more earnestly, including the Ukrainians, and first of all, the Ukrainians themselves.
Yeah. Let's talk sanctions. There was much talk, as you pointed out, about crippling sanctions against Russia if they took action. At first glance, what has been announced, is that enough?
Well, no, of course not. But not enough. You have to kind of think about sanctions, what sanctions are supposed to achieve. And one thing is they're supposed to achieve. Threat of sanctions is to stop things from developing in an undesired situation. That's the threat of sanctions has been put on the table. The Russia hasn't really, upset the pre-existing status quo. In a sense, it's just formally recognized separatist areas which were already under its de facto control. So there's no kind of major escalations, and I think sanctions are proportionate to that recognition. Now, if it goes further, then of course sanctions will be imposed, but not imposed will be really as a punishment or as a threat. So I think that's I think it's absolutely appropriate to keep more serious sanctions in store for post invasion, if there is an invasion. So I think that's the right approach.
Yeah. Tell me, what is your expectation of the timelines and what Putin's end goal is going to be, unless, if we know that Blinken is now no longer going to meet with Sergei Lavrov, it seems like talks are off the table at the moment. So what might be the time frame for him?
Well, I mean, the time frame is totally in control of Putin. He set in motion the recognition of the republics. He has all the legal, so far as Russian law is concerned, parameters for introducing the troops. They have not been officially introduced, so far as I could tell from his press conference yesterday in the breakaway republics. He can introduce them tonight. He can introduce them next week. Or next month. So basically, he is the master of the timeline, depending on what the situation develops. I would imagine that will be kind of ongoing pressure in eastern Donbass. I'm afraid there is a lot of reports around Russia about various terrorist acts being prevented by the Russian security forces, which originated in Ukraine and so forth. So there is kind of this potentially building up of atmosphere that there is a kind of serious threat coming out of Ukraine, and I would imagine that we're talking about a matter of days rather than weeks to see if anything will happen. Still unclear what the extent of what will be happening. It will be just confined to East Donbass, then that it would be okay in a sense that it's not going to upset the existing status quo. If it will be much larger, then yes, then all the bets are off the table.
Exactly, all bets are off. Good to talk, Alexander. Thank you very much.